Welcome to an exclusive tour of Videri Chocolate Factory here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Follow along as we make chocolate. All right, so first things first, we have to introduce Mordecai, and we're going to talk about the roasting process. So Mordecai, tell us a little bit about the roasting process and how that works.
We start with the raw beans. These beans are from Ecuador. It's about a 70-kilo bag. We go through the bag first and sort it, get out any bad beans or any trash. Then it goes into this bucket, and we bring it to the roasting pit. This is a 24-kilo capacity roaster. It's basically a coffee roaster, but we have some different electronics on it that let us adjust certain speeds and whatnot to roast cacao. Cacao is a slower and lower temperature roasting process than coffee, so you do have to make some adjustments. But anyway, we'll take that bag, we'll divide it up into 3 equal portions, and we'll roast those to get the chocolate to taste how we want it to taste.
Nice, awesome.
But, yeah, it's a very important process. If you mess up at this stage, there's no going back.
Oh, I see.
But this is where you really build the flavor, develop the flavor in the chocolate with your roast profile.
So how much chocolate can you make from that?
It depends. This would be, the Ecuador is either going to be a single origin, or we'll even do our 100% chocolate with this, where we don't add anything, any sugar or any additional cocoa butter to it. So it would kind of be a 1-to-1. We do try and shoot for like a 70% yield after roast, and that's losing the husk and the water weight from the roasting. So typically this would probably give me about 45 kilos of 100% chocolate, and depending on the amount of sugar, if it's like 75%, we would get close to 60 kilos of chocolate out of it.
Wow, okay.
So,
That's a lot.
yeah. So what I'm doing here is, I know I've got close to 70 kilos in there, so I'll do 3 buckets of 20, and then whatever's left over, I'll divide up that equally, and then that way I'll have 3 equal roasts, and so that my roast times and everything like that will be consistent.
Nice.
On there. And so, because if you have one that weighs a lot more than another, it's just different roast times, and it can mess up the consistency of your roast in that way. So that way we keep our flavor profile on target.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this? Sounds like you got there's a lot of science behind the scenes.
About 14 years now.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've been doing it a little while, yeah. Before we roast, this is a moisture meter. We're getting a moisture content of the bean, 7.1, that's really good.
What would be bad?
Either in the 5s or in the 8s.
Okay.
That moisture content would be really dry, so the beans could dry it out and have oxidized. It'll definitely affect your roast. It'll be hot and they're easier to burn. If it has a higher moisture content, once you start getting like 8 and above, you have more of a possibility of a mold developing because there's too much water in the beans.
Gotcha.
But that part of that room there helps control the that humidity and moisture content of the beans, and 7 is like the Goldilocks. It's
Nice.
It's the perfect water content, so there's not any real mold development, and it's not going to be dried out and allow for oxidation.
So another question for you.
Yeah.
When you're getting, I guess, so you have a huge bucket of it right there, but when they come in, are they coming in huge bags like that? Like, I guess, how do you kind of maintain that this will have the 7.1, but maybe at the bottom it's less or it's more? How's that balanced?
Yeah, they come in all different sizes. Our beans from Puerto Rico are in 30 kilo sacks. This is from Ecuador. It comes in a 68 or 69 kilo sack. Dominican Republic is a 70 kilo. Colombia is 50. The way they're shipped, almost all of our beans come. You can see that bag is called a grain pro bag. It's kind of an industry wide with grains, and that they ship this. But that helps control the moisture and humidity. Plus, it doesn't absorb stuff. I mean, it's just like a big Ziploc bag, if you will.
Yeah.
But it comes in those burlap bags. So that's mainly how that's maintained. If the beans are have a little bit of a high moisture content when we get them in, we can leave them in this with the lid off, and that'll dry them out a little bit, or we can keep them lid shut on them, everything, and help keep the moisture in if they're already a little too dry.
Okay, cool. So you also mentioned, the different countries and continents that you're getting beans from. I guess two questions. One, why do you get them from different locations? And two, how does that affect the taste of the chocolate at the end for your end result?
Beans are similar to cacao, similar to wine and coffee, and it picks up flavors from the environment, from the soil.
Yeah.
And so even within certain countries, different regions of that country can have different flavor profiles. We do get some beans from Tanzania, Vietnam, and they have very distinct flavors, a lot different than our Central South American beans. The Vietnamese beans have a real raisiny, like a chocolate covered raisin flavor profile almost. Tanzania is like sort of a tart cherry. And then these from Ecuador kind of have an earthy mineral kind of flavor profile with a hint of blueberry and hazelnut. And depending on the percentage that you go with, the sugar will bring that out a little bit too. But Colombia is more of a nutty chocolate, rich brownie, peanutty almost. So yeah, that's why we source from these different areas because of these flavor profiles. And then our 70% chocolate is a blend. So we're trying to go for a fruit forward chocolate. So that's why we use the beans that we do from those different regions to get that.
I got you.
To get that flavor profile.
Now, Mordecai, I got a question for you. You said you've been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah.
So when the beans come in from different places, are you able to just look at them and tell the difference if it's from this country or this country?
No, not really.
Okay, worth asking.
I
didn't know if they actually look different from different countries sometimes.
They do. So like Peru, they typically have a smaller bean.
Okay.
But it can also, since it's a natural product, it does vary with harvest or how the season was. If they had a good season, the beans can be consistent in size and color, plump and juicy. If it's been a drought or they've had some low yield harvest, your bean quality will vary. There are beans out there that do look different. But for us, what we get in, they're all pretty much this, and they can vary in shade. Again, it's really hard to tell just by looking at them initially. I'm much better at once roasting or having roasted. You can take out those flavor profiles a little easier.
All right, awesome. That was a great explanation from Mordecai. We're gonna give him some time so that he can do what he needs to do. In the meantime, we're gonna go pull some bars. All right, for the next step in the chocolate making process, we are back here in what's called the rotar with Jazzy, who's going to tell us all about the grinding and refining process for making chocolate. So Jazzy, tell us a little bit about what happens next.
Okay, so after the beans are roasted, they're winnowed, so the husk is separated from the nib, and the nib's what we make the chocolate from. Similar how peanuts turn into peanut butter, you're not melting them, you're refining and refining until it gets super smooth. That's the same thing that happens with nibs. They're about 50% cocoa butter, so they have a natural fat that makes them look like liquid and melted.
Okay.
So in this machine, this is the rotar, so it's a grinder, and if you look inside here, there's 2 large stone wheels, and the bottom is stone.
Wow.
So we just took some liquor out of this, and liquor is just a term used for refined nibs. So we grind down in this for our chocolate. We make this 70% in the milk chocolate. It stays in here for 24 hours. Our single origin chocolates, they stay in here for up to 9 days. So the single origin is when the beans are from just one location, and we make the chocolate that way.
So it'll stay in here grinding for 9 days?
Yeah, so it's just to get it super smooth and make sure the flavor's where we want it. So a big part of the roasting is getting the beans to that perfect flavor that we like. When we're refining in here for the first like 4 days, we leave the lid open, and so any flavors we don't want in the finished product, we let it off gas and come out of this machine. And at that point that it's in the spot where we like it, we put the sugar in, close the lid, and then it refines just to make it super smooth for the following 4 to 5 days.
Nice. So in that process of making sure it gets to the point that you guys want to be at, what are the checks like?
So smell is big, and taste. So there's no sugar yet when we're deciding when it's at a good place, because the sugar we found locks in the flavor, so we want to get it there before we add the sugar, obviously.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, so when you smell in here when we start grinding, it's really vinegary and really astringent, and it doesn't actually smell that good like good chocolate. So there's a lot of tasting and smelling before we get to that point.
Quick question for you, because it sounds like that's definitely an experience needed part of the job. So how long does it take, like for instance, how long have you been doing it, and how long would it be before somebody else could come in and essentially do what you do with just the smells?
So I've been making chocolate for 6 years. Mordecai is the flavor sensei. So me and him smell and taste and decide when it's at a good spot, but he's really the person who trains everyone to figure out when chocolate's at a good spot. But me and him are the ones who decide when it's ready to go.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So really the chocolate is what we think is good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys have good taste.
Thanks. So after the 70% and the dark milk liquor comes out of here, which is just the pre-ground nibs, it looks like this. So this is just nibs ground down. It looks melted, right? But it's just refined. So it's ground down until it's super fine. So this goes into the conch, and then it grinds down for 24 hours as well.
Okay, so it gets ground down in there.
Yep.
Then it looks like that, and then it gets ground down even further.
Yes. Okay. So this machine only makes 70% chocolate. It holds about 36 kilos of chocolate. We put the liquor in at night. We start it up. We start it up around 5 o'clock because it's super loud. Nobody will want to be in here when it's grinding. So put the liquor in. We add sugar and some cocoa butter. We tension it, and it comes out the next morning. Good to go. So it comes out this spout, we get about 36 kilos, finished 70% chocolate.
I didn't know you guys put liquor into the chocolate, that's part of the chocolate
so
making
liquor
process.
is just the term for pre-ground nibs.
Oh.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Not alcohol or anything like that.
Got you, okay. Yeah, I was thinking you guys were mixing bourbon in here. I was like,
We do sometimes. We do, we partner with Mystic Distillery, and they make their cocoa bourbon with our nibs. We get them back here, and we make chocolate out of that, but not in this machine. Yeah,
gotcha,
that's
okay,
fine.
well that's cool. All right, Jazzy, now that we're done with the grinding and refining, we're going to get into the tempering process, right?
Yep.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the tempering process.
Okay, so every chocolate has a different temperature it likes to temper at. So for us, we bring our chocolate up to 50 degrees Celsius, and that disorganizes anything the cocoa butter crystals had going on.
Okay.
And then we bring it down to 28.9 to 30.3, depending on which chocolate we're doing. And then we bring it up 0.3 degrees.
Okay.
So when it comes down, it's organizing the cocoa butter crystals. When we bring it up just a bit, it locks them in. So that's going to give you the chocolate that's shiny, it has a snap, it's not dull or crumbling.
Wow. There's a lot of science that goes into this. Yeah. Awesome.
That's
okay.
why we have machines to do it.
Yeah, hey, makes it way easier. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this machine and what it does as far as the tempering process and what happens next.
Okay, so when we're heating up the chocolate, the bowl temp is pretty high. We just wait for it to get up to that 50 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And we have this temper setting set at the temper we like to temper at. So for this one, it's 30.3 today. And then we wait for this chocolate to get heat all the way up and then cool down. And then it brings it up just a bit, and then there's a really loud beep, and we're ready to temper. So it just maintains that temperature. There's an auger in here that pulls the chocolate up through this spout.
Right.
And the bowl keeps spinning just to keep everything consistently tempered.
Okay.
Then when we pull the bars, we have some dosing here. So it just puts out the exact amount of chocolate we want in a bar. So when you push the pedal, it just doses it out until you pick your foot up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let me ask you another quick question, because we got a bowl temperature and a working temperature. Is the working temperature the temperature when it's coming out?
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
Yep, and the bowl is the bowl.
When it's coming up, is there a cooling system back there? Or it just cools automatic? Okay.
Yep, there it's an auger that has cooling all the way up until it comes out.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, Jazzy, let's pull some chocolate bars.
Okay. I'm gonna turn on the shaky. Okay. You got it.
All right, let's do it. So just take this and it's already
Yep, so turn the shake on.
this one?
Yep.
And then just hit that?
That, yep. Gonna start.
All right, cool.
Hey, not bad.
All right, there we go.
Take it out. Just want to get the chocolate into the corners and get the bubbles out.
Voila.
Yeah, so all you're gonna do is this one back here, so I'll let you pull it out so that you're getting it. And you just literally take it and slam it like that. Wow. Bars.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
so that's chocolate.
Nice. No, like it's solid?
Yeah, it's good to go. You can snap it, it's perfect. So that's our 70% classic dark. So it's a little below that Vietnam you tasted and a little higher than the dark milk. But you can try it.
Nice. Let's break off a little piece and try it.
A little pre-workout.
I know, right? That's good.
Thanks.
That's really good. That's what, straight from there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna take this with me. I'll see y'all later. All right, guys, so we're here for the next process, and we are actually with the founder, Sam, and he's gonna tell us a little bit more about the bean sorting process.
So when we get beans in, we get them in these big like jute sacks, or like they come in burlap bags or whatever it is. Each country has a different weight system, like Dominican Republic is 70 kilos,
Right.
Puerto Rico is 30 kilos, and so on. Whenever they come to us, they come to in these bags, and what we do is we hand sort every bag of beans. So we open it up, we put it in a vibrating hopper. There's like a little screen grate kind of thing that like takes the little broken bits or maybe pebbles or little sticks or something like that
Right.
that fall through. And then this belt moves, and the good beans come into the bucket that we're gonna roast. The bad beans go into another bucket. And then we put the bad beans in bags of mulch that customers can come and pick up on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays.
Okay.
And if nobody comes and picks them up, we just mulch our trees and bushes with them. And it's good for the earth, and it's like natural material.
Really?
So everything we sort out of here is like little rocks or things like that, or even like bigger rocks that maybe when they're drying the beans, they're on like a concrete pad. You know, when you're scraping stuff up, maybe
Right.
a little pebble will come up with it or something like that. Or maybe there's like a nail that maybe, as you can kind of see, there's little, you know, holes in these bags. Maybe there's a nail that came out of a pallet and kind of pulled up. So it's not anything where somebody's like padding the weight. It's just kind of natural material. It's a very natural process.
Right.
So our job is, number one, nobody wants to eat a rock. And number two, it would break machinery if it goes through. And so what we do here is we just sort all that stuff out.
Okay.
Which is pretty fun. So I'm gonna try and open this bag in the fun way, where it comes out with one stitch. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then I just cut the whole bag. So when we open a bag of beans, you can kind of see here, this bag of beans from Dominican Republic is high quality. So when we're going through a bag like this, when we first open it, we're looking for uniform size and shape, which we see. I don't see a lot of like sticks or twigs or rocks or anything unnatural. So this bag of beans, as a bean sorter, when you open this up, you're like, I'm gonna have a good day at work. Sometimes you open these bag of beans and they just look kind of like garbage.
Really?
They're dusty, they're moldy, they just don't look good. Or maybe it's, you know, when you think about people gathering beans at the end of like a process of, you know, getting 2 tons or 3 tons in bags, you know, that like they crumble or something like that and they put them in a bag and you kind of get unlucky, I guess the best way to put it. So for us, when we look at something like this, we then take that, we get a little bucket, we put them into this hopper, we sit down, we put headphones on, you listen to a record, an audio book, or like, you can't really watch a TV show because you have to, you know, be very aware of what's going on.
Right.
And it's kind of an amazing process.
Yeah.
It takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And it's my favorite process of the whole thing. It's where I learned how to like make chocolate was sitting and sorting beans. And so for us, we get to sit here and just hang out and like, it's very soothing.
Yeah.
For some people, not for everybody. So
let me ask you a question. What got you into this? I know you said you're the founder, so where'd the whole concept for Videri even come from?
Pure luck.
Okay.
I moved to Raleigh in 2009 to actually go to NC State to get into the PGA PGM program.
Okay.
And I got a job at another place that was switching from a confectioner, which buys chocolate and turns it into chocolate products, to a bean to bar maker. And my ex-wife and actually Mordecai worked there, and they were like, hey, we don't really like sorting beans. We think you might like it. I sat down and I was like, I love this. I don't like it. I love it. And I just rolled with it. And it was one of the few times in my life where I had not a pastry chef. I didn't go to culinary school. I didn't even know chocolate grew on a tree. And yet I'm sitting and it's like taking a puzzle apart and then roasting it, winnowing it, and then grinding it. And you're almost like putting a puzzle back together.
Yeah.
And then when you put that puzzle back together, it tastes like chocolate. It's delicious.
Awesome.
So that's like the high level of how I got into it.
Nice.
And every day we learn something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm learning a lot. There's a lot of science that goes into this.
A lot of
so
it.
I'm very shocked by it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some in this hopper. I'll
Okay.
kind of show you what it is. I'll let you sit down and sort. And then I hope you get through this bag in 45 minutes because we have stuff to do.
All right, cool. I'm going to get to work.
All right. So this thing vibrates, right? And you'll see I'll pour beans in here. There's a speed that I can put on here that is, you know, it goes like 0 to 100 essentially. If it's a very clean bag of beans, we can run it at a very high like speed, high speed here. You can make this belt go slower or faster,
Right.
right? So you kind of have like a little bit of control of how fast the beans are coming across, how fast they're going through, and then it kind of educates you on that. And then you set up your buckets here to make sure that good beans fall in the bean bucket, bad beans fall in the trash bucket, and you can sort them out that way. And as it goes, what we're doing today is very low intensity because you're learning, right? So what you do is you sit here and you literally, little flat things like this, smaller beans, maybe a bean that is broken, may have like an insect or something in it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it where when the beans fall, they're a little bit more spread out so that we can have a little bit of like time to look at them. If I was doing this by myself and I really wanted to move, I would have them go at a faster rate because I can tell it's a good bag of beans.
Right.
But for you, you're just learning. We're gonna like start out a little bit slower. And I'll show you little tiny things. Like we're gonna try and get out a little tiny bean like this. Because in comparison, you're gonna roast this one.
Right.
This bean's gonna burn. This bean will be undercooked.
Okay.
So you'd rather have a bigger bean, more weight, more mass. And then there's little tiny, like that's a broken bean. that's gonna, when you put that in the roaster, it's just gonna burn. So we just push that out. Sometimes you have double beans that stick together, right? And if you're
Why'd you
lucky,
keep that one.
that one just kind of broke, but it just broke, so it's okay to like keep in. There is a fine line. If you wanted to sort everything perfectly, you could. You would waste 10 to 15% of the bag on perfection. And a lot of times some of this chocolate we're making is like, for milk chocolate, it's 55% cocoa content. The other 45% is sugar and milk powder. So like, if you made it absolutely perfect, you'd be wasting somebody's hard work because you're like, this is perfect. When in reality, it may not be perfect. It just looks perfect to you.
Got you.
So you kind of have to balance that. But I don't know, Eric, this looks pretty good.
Okay.
We got a pretty easy sort today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the vibrator off first. And then once these get to the bottom, the way that when we were like teaching people, training people how to do this, is one of us will literally sit here and like chit chat with you. Okay. My 12-year-old son has been doing this since he was like a little tiny kid, and he loves doing it. So like little piece like this, and what you really want to try and focus on is this part of the belt, because if you get down here, you're probably a little bit lost.
Gotcha.
So like that little piece right there, yep, you grab that piece out. And then as you get a little bit better, that's okay. If it's really flat, you take it out. And then learning like your depth perception as well is kind of weird. You might get a little bit, honestly, like, car sick because this belt is moving.
Yeah,
you're sitting still, right? Perfect. Dude, you're hired.
Hey,
this is great. So then, well, if we were to like say, okay, you're doing well, you would turn this up and you'll see that there's more beans as they like come down the belt, right?
Right.
And you'll start seeing, okay, this one's good. I'm gonna pull it back over here. See this little flat one right here? You take this away.
What about this one?
That one's plump, that one's fine. A big round bean is fine.
Okay.
If you see anything that looks flat or any beans that are like stuck together, yep, little piece like that. Yeah, it's essentially, in my mind, you got it, you know? Like you're in.
Awesome. Yeah, I can sit here and do this all day.
It's so, like, to me, it's a very relaxing thing. And this is just, like, we have like a little, bushing or something that's out. When this machine is just like, you hear the vibration of this, the dropping of the beans, it is, you could sit here for hours on end. As I look at like an older bag of beans, like this one has like little flats, or even this is a part of the pod. This is a fermentation thing that got stuck to it. Like there's just a lot of like trash in other bags is the best way to put it. And we've done where, we keep everything in and we're like, okay, let's see what it tastes like. When you keep that stuff in and you start roasting, you're essentially burning like wood, for lack of a better way of putting it. And it doesn't make chocolate taste good. So that's why we hand sort. There are machines that they're called optical sorters. Yeah. That would be essentially the size of this room. They're pretty expensive, $250,000 and above. And they can sort like 2 tons in an hour. Wow. We go through like 17 to 20 tons a year. Wow. So that machine will run for what, 10 hours a year? So this is a good example of like something that looks flat and small. But yeah, this is it. This is what you do. And you would go through a whole bag, and if you're lucky and good, it takes about 45 minutes. If you're unlucky, i.e. you get a bag of beans that's kind of dirty, it could take an hour and a half to 2 hours, too small. When we first started, we literally had a table in here and like a fry basket, like a fish fry basket. Yeah. And you would literally dump beans into that thing, you'd shake it over a bucket, you'd pour that out, and then you'd sort through them by hand. Wow. And it would take me 3 to 4 hours. I can imagine. And when you're first training like people, you would put 2 people in this room and it'd take them 4 hours to do it. So then we like incorporated like a vibrating shaker machine that would like pre-sort it. We then started getting a little bit different techniques. And then I went to England and I installed one of those rotar grinders. And when I installed it, the company over there, they had one of these. which this setup is for, and they have a couple different pieces on it. This setup is for eggs, for density of eggs. So that vibrator would essentially shake the eggs, and the small ones would go on this side, the big or double A or whatever come on this side, and they would like roll across. And they saw it and they said, hey, we could use this for bean sorting.
Yeah.
And it just changes the whole dynamic because you load that hopper up, you sit here, you do it, it's constant, and you just watch and you make sure that, you know, nothing bad is happening. And then the other side of it is you'll be able to hear if a rock falls because it has like a dunk, like a thud kind of a thing. So then you use your ears and eyes to sort beans.
And now this bag of beans was from Guatemala?
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic, okay.
And different places have different setups for beans. So like in Guatemala, they do a big pre-sort. So what we normally look at is a very clean bag of beans, and what we're normally taking out is like broken beans that maybe have oxidized, which oxidization creates sour flavors. So for us, what we're doing on those bags, we're just kind of going, hey, that one's broken, take it out. Or occasionally get a bean that's like, you know, put together or like fermented together. But even this is like a good example. This is a bean that doesn't have a shell on it, a husk on it. In a roaster, this thing's going to crack and just break, and it'll burn. So we have to take that out, you know.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, this is bean sorting. So if you want to sit here for a couple hours, you know, we'll pay you in chocolate.
Okay.
And it should be pretty fun. If ever we get a bag of beans that's like absolute garbage, there's a good, I forget the exact name, but there's a contract that we sign with our brokers that if there's 2% more of waste, like 2% total gross weight, we actually get to say, hey, we sorted out 6% weight, and they'll send us a rebate or give us like a credit on our account for like more than what's reasonable for trash. Kind of thing. This one's kind of interesting because this is what a little tiny cocoa pod looks like. So before it grows to like full maturity, it was probably sitting next to like a bigger cocoa pod, and it came out and we found it in a thing. But even, you know, this is like a part of a twig from the same, like that's like what is holding that pod onto that tree. And, you know, they cut it off and, you know, weird stuff like that. But I mean, we find a lot of like, you know, rocks and stuff that are just probably just pieces of concrete from the edge of a drying pad. Or
do you or have you ever thought of like buying a bean, would it be a bean farm?
Like a farm or something like that? Yeah. I was raised by farmers on both sides of my family, so there's that like romantic lure of doing that. Yeah. But because the only place in America proper that grows them is Hawaii, I can't buy land there, it's too expensive. And honestly, like kind of a non-starter unless you want to live in Hawaii your whole life, which who would want to live there? And Puerto Rico just started coming out with beans, so those are the two places that in America you could essentially like grow them, whatever. But even though, let's say I had like family in Guatemala and I wanted to have like a plot of land that I could grow beans on, do my fermentation, send them here, have them make it into chocolate, you'd have to have like a 50 to 100 acre piece of land to supply the amount of beans that we would need for here. And it just is, one of us would have to live there, which nobody says that we wouldn't want to live there. Yeah. But it's just kind of one of those things that you kind of wouldn't do for us. But there are people that do it. I mean, a lot of the bigger chocolate factories in the world have like a farm or plantation, however you want to say it, that's like centrally located somewhere that they can easily fly to from whatever country they're at. And they have maybe 20 to 30% of their production coming out of there as sort of like a, hey, at least we know we're gonna have this many beans a year. And then they still buy from other, you know, houses or brokerages and stuff like that. Gotcha. So it's kind of whatever you want to do.
So what's gonna happen I'm waiting for it to hit a specific temperature, and then I'll dump it. And as you can see, this is perforated. You hear the fans pulling air through here, so it'll immediately cool the beans, and they come out so they don't continue to roast. There's such a large volume, they would continue to roast with that mass, that heat mass, and you could burn them that way, over roast them. All right, here we go.
So we just sorted Dominican. Dominican beans are in our 70% classic dark blend, which is a 2-bean blend. And if you hold your hand out flat for me, I'll put that in there. And I'll eat one as well. And this has 70% cocoa content. So cocoa nibs and cocoa butter is the cocoa content.
Okay.
And then 30% sugar.
Okay.
And that's all it's in there.
All right. So is this one of the darker? A little bit.
So this is 70%, right? These two here,
Up top. Gotcha.
and this one, we make a 55% milk. This one has crunchy, spicy cocoa nibs on it with the Vesta dry hot sauce powder. This has crunchy, salty cocoa nibs on it. Milk chocolate, crunchy, it's delicious. And then all the ones on the bottom are single origin bars that are 75%, 90%, and 100%.
Awesome.
And those would be the richer, fuller, more intense chocolates that you would get.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a interesting way of looking at it, but also those are very specific flavors that's similar to wine or coffee, where it's like where that bean is grown, how it's processed, how we process it, kind of brings out those different flavors.
Yeah.
One of them that we really love is this Vietnamese bar right now that we think tastes like a chocolate covered raisin. And again, we didn't put raisins in it. It came out that way.
Tastes this one back there.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah.
It's how did she describe it? Very rich dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Savory, people call it. Yeah.
Savory. That's what it was.
Do you want to try the milk chocolate with spicy cocoa nibs on it?
Yeah, definitely.
This one's fun.
So that's the Vesta.
Yep.
Okay.
So in this sample, what you're going to get is you're going to get like that just basic flavor, right? You're going to get a little bit of heat. If you ate the whole bar, you would get a lot of heat. But in this setting, it's just like just a little bit. A little bit. I feel like it hits the back of your throat a little bit.
Yeah. The after. I like that. I like spicy stuff.
That's fun.
That's a good one.
That's fun.
I think that might be my favorite so far.
The spicy
Yeah.
one.
The spicy one, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to, I don't know, spice and chocolate. Just,
Yeah.
so.
And
but-
we like this one too because the way that the Torcho family makes this dry hot sauce is they essentially love the flavor of peppers as much as they love the spice of something.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're bringing out like that unique flavor of that pepper.
Yeah.
And instead of it just being like hot and no flavor, it's like there's flavor and there's depth and there's all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah. Because it doesn't really kick in until afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little
Okay.
bit. So this one is another milk chocolate with crunchy nibs on it and a little bit of salt.
All right. This one's the 55.
That one is delicious.
All right, let's try this one. That is good.
It's so fun. And it's
really good.
Milk chocolate. So this is our 55% milk. The Vesta is same base, but you can see the difference of crunchy salty versus crunchy spicy.
Yeah. Which one of these is the most popular?
The first most popular one is our 70% with sea salt.
Okay.
And then it is the milk chocolate with crunchy salty nibs.
Gotcha.
Those are always kind of neck and neck.
Okay.
And then the single origins there's people that buy them. There's a lot of people come in here and they'll buy 10 Vietnamese bars, come back 3 months later, buy 10 Vietnamese bars.
Wow.
They'll try all the chocolate, they're like, this one's still my favorite.
Yeah.
What we like about it is it highlights different fruit flavors in all the different types of chocolate that we make, right? And then you can buy it in bundles where you can buy 5 for a price and you can buy 5 Vietnamese bars, or you can like mix and match all the different single origins.
Awesome. Which one's your personal favorite? If you had
Ooh.
to only pick one.
I love the 90% Ecuador because of how hard it is to make.
Okay.
If we're off by a degree on the roaster, it is not going to taste good.
Yeah.
If we over or under roast it, there's other varieties of cocoa beans where we can kind of like let it get to a temperature or get it to a certain place. But this one, if we just mess it up in the roaster, it's done.
I can tell that is definitely for chocolate lovers. Yeah. So my mom would like that one, the dark chocolate. Now you also have one that's 100%.
So that one is no sugar.
So that one's going to be more intense than. Okay, cool.
You want to try that
Awesome.
one?
Sure.
I mean, you sorted the beans.
Jazzy was surprising me with random ones.
Yeah, I'm putting you through your paces now.
I think my palate's adjusted a little bit. Ooh, yeah. You get no sugar.
No sugar.
I appreciate you showing us the difference.
Yeah.
You know, with the single origin.
Yeah.
And then also the ones that you have up here at 70%, 55%. So
It's crazy.
Definitely appreciate
Yeah.
that.
And then we have a whole selection of bonbons and candy bars and chocolate covered toffee and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for checking out this video of Videri Chocolate. It was a spectacular time. Sam, really appreciate you showing us all about
Always.
Videri Chocolate and what you guys have going on here. So for everybody watching, how can they get in touch with you and find you?
You can come down to the warehouse district at 327 West Davie Street. We have parking that you can validate. You can go to our website, viderichocolatefactory.com, or engage with us on our socials at Videri Chocolate. And always come into Videri Chocolate and get free samples and chat with us about chocolate.
All right, awesome, Sam. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Big
man.
time. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you again.